everyone. It's Chica of the Pen Moves podcast, and welcome to the first reposted episode of Journal with Me. For this episode, I'll just be providing voiceovers and some captions regarding me decorating the last few pages of my May 2021 daily spreads on my Hobonichi Techo cousin. Yeah, the A51. This was already posted previously in our old YouTube page, but since I moved to this new one, or rather Ryan and I moved all our podcasts to this one, well, here we are. This is my, at that time, recently acquired Pilot Custom Heritage 912 with a Falcon nib, known for its flex. And what you'll see on the screen right now is essentially me doing a bit of lettering, flex lettering on the top of my daily pages. I like adding highlights because, well, when I don't have time to write at the end of the day, which I tend to often do or not have, well, I at least get to fill in the highlights for each day. So in order to fill in those highlights, I tend to go back to my Instagram stories or to go back to my photos across the week. And I just add bullet points after the highlights flourish over there. And you'll notice that we're speeding up. That's because, well, this is the first venture into this entire journal with me process. So stick with me as we add the word highlights to every top of the daily page. Okay, the things that you see right now, they're supposed to be stickers, but my printer wasn't so good at it. My printer has been encountering a lot of problems, so I test ran a printout on just plain, not so good bond paper, and there's my drawing, yes. I didn't fix the dimensions, so they're kind of big, and I kept them for a while so that I could Kokuyo glue them onto some of the daily pages, essentially having a pattern of sorts across 4 spreads across 15 days. So yeah, the glue stick is a Kokuyo glue stick, GLOO. I especially like it because it's just the right amount of stickiness, if you understand what I mean. Because sometimes the glue stick tends to be so solid that you can actually feel it under what you're sticking. Sometimes its adhesion is too high. This one's just right, and you can even sometimes peel off and then replace some of the things that you've already stuck. I also like the shape. I mean, that's one of the most well-known parts of it. It's great for corners, so that's the best part of it, really. Comes in 3 sizes. You've got the small, you've got the medium, and you've got the large. I got a medium one. I have 2 of those because, well, it's great for the small and the larger size things that I do have to stick into my journals. I do hope I can make those into stickers eventually. Oh, washi time. At this time, I had acquired quite a few empty washi tapes straight from Japan, care of a local seller on Instagram that I follow. Her name, I think, is Paper Strips, PH. Godsend, really, because I have wanted to invest in washi tapes straight from Japan for the longest time. Usually the ones that I get from Shopee, maybe the Amazon of the Philippines from Shopee or Lazada, essentially are too cheap, or their adhesive tends to come off after a while. Like if it's really humid, the adhesive comes off. But so far, having used the empty washi tapes, I don't feel too bad about it. The adhesive is great, and the designs are more unique than the usual Shopee offerings. I bought a lot in one go. I remember buying 15 rolls of washi at this time because, well, it was my first venture into high-end, or at least Japanese washi tape. So I just thought that since I'm buying 15, I wouldn't have to buy more. That was an incorrect and inaccurate thought. But what you'll see here is essentially me using my empty washi tapes. I had bought, I think, 15 rolls. The ones I've been using recently in that special white box, they're part of a set of colored pencil-like designs. So you'll notice that I've been doing the same thing across 4 spreads already. There is my printout to the left, some washi accents, just washi that I feel like using at a given time, on the left and the right page. And then, yeah, I contrast that with another washi. We're speeding through right now, yes, because I would do the same thing for 4 spreads across the board. Yep. But I gotta say, the spreads seem kind of empty and not so well thought out this time around, which is often how I go about my journaling anyway. Sometimes I do my spreads just to pass the time. Sometimes I do it while watching something. Sometimes I do it while I'm in an assembly so that I can listen while also keeping my hands busy. So often I don't think about my spreads. I really don't. It just like they happen, like what's happening right now. And when I felt that the page was empty, I brought out my basic Zikuridake brush pens, and I made swirls to fill in the space. I often do that. Sometimes I do leaves. Sometimes I do flowers. Sometimes I do stars, hearts, anything small. Curly cues like that. I do that quite often just to fill in the space when I feel like it's boring or mismatched, so that you can tie the left and the right page together. Yeah, I do the same thing over quite a few number of pages because, there's a pattern I like to think that I put in place or that I started rolling with. Usually my spreads are just isolated to 2 pages. They're unique to the 2 pages that are in front of me at a given time. And I think that this was the first time that I did somewhat similar spreads across 4, aka 8 pages. So since I ran out of the printouts this time around, I'm using stamps. At this time, I had recently recovered my love for stamp making, rubber stamp making. So you'll see that I made quite a few. I made a Pen Noobs logo, I made foliage, I made iced plastic cups with the ice, flowers. That's supposed to be, I think, was that supposed to be a lily? I don't recall anymore. And of course, fountain pens. So for this spread, I will be using a fountain pen and an ink bottle. And if you'll notice, I don't have stamp pads because they're an investment that I have yet to decide on, since my Crayola markers are doing a good job at it anyway. Of course, it's a bit more time consuming than using stamp pads, but in this way, I think that I get to control just how much ink goes onto the stamp. Also, I like using Crayola markers because they're easy to wash off, and they come in a lot of colors, and I like colors, so that's what's gonna happen in this spread. There is a certain charm with rubber stamping, by the way, because every time you make a stamp, it's got an imperfections that are not so replicable, let's say if they were machine made. And there's something therapeutic about making the stamps themselves. Like, I really enjoy. You could leave me in a room, give me a block of rubber and a carving tool, and I could spend all day doing it without talking to anyone. Yes, my color scheme for the left-hand page is more warm, and the right-hand page will be cool. I'm really happy about that left page. On to the right one. See, I'm using 2 greens and 1 blue for that side. And that is actually the first stamp that I made when I got my rubber block and my carving tool. So I'm really proud of that one. I don't think I'm going to let go of that ink bottle. I think I had based that on, now correct me if I'm wrong, an eagle stand. But I especially like the curves on the top of the bottle. I think it's very old school or vintage, Art Nouveau, Art Deco, whatever movement you feel it is. Yes. So I often start with the lightest color when I am stamping with my markers, because the colors will mix. So if I started with a darker color, the light green wouldn't show up. I think it's like basic stuff. But yeah, I started with the greens, and I will be ending with the darkest blue for this layout. Oh, bleed through. I totally spaced on that. So the thing with Hobonichi pages, Tomoe River pages, is that there's always, like, if it's ink heavy, there's gonna be some bleed through. I honestly had to learn how to like that, and over time I don't think of it as such a big deal anymore as, say, when I first tried the Hobonichi in 2018. So this is something that I am sure I can cover up, and you'll notice that we're already at the 30th and 31st of May, so this is the last spread and go for this Journal With Me. I made stamps of just the gibberish that I have. So yeah, you can see it. I've got no, wow, yes. And I'm gonna be this time around using my Stabilo pastel colored highlighters. I had acquired them I think 5 years ago. I used to use them to decorate my classroom, to make hand lettering. They say it's easier to do lettering or learn brush calligraphy by starting out with italic or stub nib. So these highlighters, and well, just generally all highlighters, do that for you. So that was really good. And this time, they're proving really useful for the stamping process as well. If you want something more muted, use your pastel highlighters. Yeah, the color is a bit uneven, but I don't really mind that. Again, when I was talking about stamping a while ago, the imperfections of the stamp can be compounded by the imperfections of the stamping process. Up next is wow! And I am stamping that directly onto the bleed through from the other page. It's not going to cover it perfectly, that much I am sure of, but it does the job adequately. I think I still journal pretty well in this page, and again, I don't mind it so much. Oh, and this says the funny thing about stamp making, though, is like at this point in time when I made these stamps, it was probably the third time or the third round that I was making word stamps, and my main mistake was essentially writing the words down on the stamping block the right way, meaning the correct way from left to right orientation. And then whenever I'd stamp it, I'd realize that it would stamp the other way around in the mirrored position. So you'll notice that these particular word stamps have carvings or are carved on both sides. That's because I made a mistake with, well, you only see 4 here, but there are actually 8 exclamatory statement stamps or gibberish stamps. So I made that mistake so many times, and that was enough of a lesson, because fairly recently I made word stamps again, and I did not anymore make that mistake. Good job, Chica. Oh, and if you're wondering why I pre-decorate or post-decorate, and that's all you're seeing here, well, that's because this is my personal journal. I do post clip-throughs on our Instagram page at the Pen Moves Podcast on Instagram. And you'll find me flipping through everything, and with the text often blurred out or zoomed in to the point that you don't know what's around it. But I like decorating separately from writing entries, because decorating occupies like a different part of my brain, not technical, than say writing. There's no active recall going on when I decorate. But I also feel like I'm in the process of fulfilling something, achieving something in the process of doing it. I don't get attached often to my decorations. You'll actually see that in the flip through, I add more things after I decorate, because sometimes I like personalizing the pages as well. Other than the actual content, I print out pictures, black and white thermal pictures on my paper round, and they supplement my memories for the day. So right now the layout's kind of sparse, and we are officially